Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Athena, and today we are going to get into some juicy topics. First, we're going to talk about, are we enabling low-functioning men, honey? Okay, and this is inspired by the recent interview with Dr. Cheyenne and Cam Newton. We'll also be watching a video discussing whether or not dating or surrounded by these kind of men without even realizing it. Then later on in the show, we'll turn our attention to Marques Houston, who's in the headlines for marrying a 19-year-old girl, okay? And what he has to say about doing so, because women his age apparently come with baggage and kids, and he does not want to deal with it. But before we get into it, let me introduce to you my co-queens. We have Constance Carter, wealth activist, okay, real estate queen, honey. We have Dr. Alicia, who is the best therapist around, honey. Check her out at coachingwithdralicia.com. And Tierra, okay, producer and boss, honey. Extraordinaire Miss Black Hollywood. And of course, me, Athena Gardner, CPA and founder of Weak Wealth Women. So, okay, ladies, I want us to dive into this topic. But before we get too crazy, I want us to see the clip that everyone's been talking about, and then we can really dive into these low-functioning men.
So, what identifies a woman to be high-functioning?
A high-functioning woman is a woman who wants you. She doesn't need you. And let me clear that up. When I say she doesn't need you, it doesn't mean she's independent. That means she is interdependent. I only not need you because my pain doesn't need your pain. My dysfunction doesn't need your dysfunction to feed it for us to be in this relationship, meaning I don't need a trauma bond with you, okay? She wants you because she wants the healed part of you, but has the capacity, because we're all human, we ain't perfect, to facilitate and deal with the unhealed part of you that's going to show up in the relationship at some point. And hers is going to show up too. Mine is going to show up too. And so that's why I always say, I want a hybrid. I want a hybrid for y'all out there who want to know, meaning a man who's high functioning enough to meet my healthy high functioning, but low functioning enough to deal with me when my abandonment inflames, to deal with me when some of my dysfunctions that I'm still working on inflame. Because it's simple. High-functioning woman feels the same thing a low-functioning woman feels. She does two things differently. High-functioning woman can regulate her emotions to articulate it so it comes out with emotional intelligence. And she uses what she feels, and chooses with her healthy self and not her dysfunctional self. That's the only difference.
Now, explain to me what a high-functioning man is.
A high-functioning man, identical to a woman. He can feel what he feels, he regulates his emotions, and he chooses how he's going to deliver that message so that woman receives it, and she's not armed, and now we're at war. That's what a high-functioning man does. And he's also able to sit through hard, challenging conversations without fleeing or abandoning that woman. And using his emotional intelligence that says, I hear you and I understand you. But baby, I don't agree with that one part.
Whew, I think she said a word just there in a minute. I want to kick it to you, Dr. Alicia. First question. Is low functioning a therapist term that she was using? Like, where did you get that?
Well, okay, so I'm not certain where she got low functioning, but I am spot on with her when it comes to emotional regulation. That is the key. Do you know emotional regulation is the key to healthy relationships and unhealthy relationships? I sell these workbooks, and in these workbooks, I have this called Bowen. Bowen is the researcher, the psychologist Bowen. He's the researcher that came up with a measure on how well you are able to regulate your emotions. And so students in my class and those who get my workbooks can fill that out. And then there's like a guideline here. That is the demarcation between a person who is able to have a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy relationship is how well you score on the Bowen's emotional regulation scale. That is the only thing. And it's so fascinating because people always ask me, and I see it on television a lot. How do I date somebody? How do I know that I'm dating someone? What do I look at? You don't necessarily need to look at compatibility, so to speak. You really need to look at how that person is able to regulate their emotions when they get upset with you, because you can't read someone's mind. There's always going to be mistakes along the way, triggers, and all of these things that she'd explain. That's a normal thing in every relationship. You're not going to find a carbon copy of yourself. Shoot, your own sibling is not you fight with your own siblings, right? So you're not going to find the carbon copy of yourself, but the demarcation between what's healthy and not healthy is emotional regulation. I'm not certain I would put a label on it like low functioning, high functioning. I'm happy that she's able to articulate it and explain it in the way that absolutely makes sense to me in the therapist world.
Well, I'm glad we have you as our resident therapist, honey, because I was like, is this even a regular term? Like, this is the first time I heard that. And by the way it sounds, maybe we need to have that Boeing thing be on these dating apps so we know where everybody line up.
Question though, Dr. Alicia, you said you don't necessarily have to be compatible. What does that mean?
Well, it means that but people focus so much on compatibility, and it's not the compatibility piece that is a signal of a good relationship, because there's no such thing. You're going to have differences. And the key is how you deal with those differences. Now, certain things about your value system should be similar, like, how you look at relationships and value systems should be similar, but having things in common, and I'm talking about data, because as a therapist, I have to work on what studies have found in relationships. What we now know in studying data, by the way, I don't know how matchmakers do it, because there's really no way to tell if somebody is really going to get along with each other or not. But the one thing that stands strong is how this person is going to react when they are upset with you. And it has nothing to do with having all things in common. I mean, when you first fall in love with somebody, all you do is notice the things you have in common. But the real key to how you know how they function is what happens when you don't have things in common, when you disagree on certain things. Are you going to have a meltdown and fall apart and act like a little child? Or are you going to be someone who's, and this is why I like to meditate, you're going to be someone who's going to be mindful in their conversations with you and say, when you said that to me, it brought up something for me. It reminded me of something painful that happened in the past. And I want to lash out at you, but I know it's not really you. I know it's what's going on here. And I just want to let you know, here's how I would love for you to be able to talk to me or address me, because it hurt my feelings. Someone who's able to say that. And eventually in couples therapy, I get them to say stuff like that. But what they do is they explode and they start yelling and throwing stuff and acting crazy, when normally you're a nice sound person.
Oh, so very low functioning. If you're new here, welcome to Fly Nubian Money. We are here weekdays, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to join our text list so you never miss out on any time we are live or anything we have to offer, please text the word Queens to 87948 so you do not miss a thing. Now, I want to pivot slightly to Constance with this question, okay? And I also want to pose this question to the audience. So comment down below or answer in the chat. What do you think defines a low functioning man? And have you encountered or been involved with one without realizing it?
Well, I mean, basically, I've only been with one person my whole life. So
not even in your dating experience. Constance, I know you've been dating. I know you've been
outside a little bit, but I wouldn't consider anything of any significance. I don't give people a whole lot of opportunity to, to do anything. I haven't given anybody an opportunity to kind of like be low functioning. I just lose interest very quickly. And they may be very high functioning people. It's me. It ain't them, it's me. So, what is low functioning? I would imagine just a person who does not step up to the plate, a person that does not add value to you. Now, just because they don't add value to you, you just may not be compatible, right? You talked about compatibility. Maybe they may add value to someone else, but they just may be low functioning to you. They just might be trifling to you. They may not be trifling individuals, but I will just imagine that will be someone who's just not for you. Have I been with someone low functioning? No comment.
Constance, like, my kids might be watching this. I ain't gonna say anything
Listen,
today.
they will tell you more faster than I will.
Listen. All right, so Tiara. Okay, I'll pose you the same question to you, but also with a twist. I want to know if a man can be low functioning in certain areas and high functioning in certain areas, and have you encountered those type of men?
Ooh, you know what? So when I've heard them having this conversation initially, I thought I kind of associated it with like low vibrational because Cam, like the actions of who Cam Newton is and like what he does and the way he thinks, it comes across, and Nick Cannon, it comes across very like low vibrational. Let me have all these women all over the place doing whatever, and I'm just kind of like here taking care of kids sometimes, not taking care of kids other times. Like it just seems messy and low vibrational, and women just allowing him to do it like it's okay as long as he's paying for my rent and whatever it is that they require, which isn't much. I got that everybody is just kind of functioning, everybody is just kind of on a low frequency, and so it just doesn't sound like something I would want to be a part of. But I mean, I think Nick Cannon is to an extent, maybe he's like high functioning when it comes to like work in his professional life, right? Because he has all this success and he's seeing all these different opportunities all the time, and he can manage that, right? But in turn, when it comes to his personal life, maybe he's not vibrating the highest, you know. And in terms of if I have had an experience, see, I'm a little different than Constance. I've been in these streets for a little bit, right? Been in these streets for a little while, and I'm telling you, it's been, you know, the pool has had poop floating in it, and there's been some sewage. There's, you
It's a
know, a little,
cesspool.
you know
It's
what
a
I'm saying? Like there's some
cesspool,
process,
honey.
something in there. I'm not really sure what that is. Like there's all kind of things in there. So, you know, to answer your question, I have had encounters with men who have vibrated low. Either it's like I'm not available. What I notice is that a lot of men are like nonchalant and not emotionally available, or there's certain things that they can't give. You know, they're avoidant. They're, you know, they're insecure. It's just all the things, right? So that's what I've encountered over the years.
You know, before we move on, Tiara, I have a question for you that you mentioned. Okay, you
Yeah.
mentioned women dealing with low functioning men to get their bills paid, get rent paid, all this other stuff. So, do you think that low functioning men will attract low functioning women? Are women low
Yeah.
functioning for entertaining those type of men?
What is that? What is saying? They say you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. Is that's the saying? I agree with that. I think, you know, it's so funny because I think we attract everything. I think if we are light, then we attract a little bit of everything. It's kind of like what you entertain. What do you entertain? Right? I think that ultimately you know, just tells it's the telltale sign of who you are and where you are, because you might attract high vibrating or high functioning women, but just not be in a place to catch them and fumble that bag. So, you know, I've seen that a whole lot too.
Listen, that was a word, okay? Because I felt like some men fumbled me because they weren't in the place to receive me, honey. So,
Girl,
Dr.
me too.
Alicia,
Me too, girl. Me
listen,
too.
okay, listen. Maybe we'll meet some high functioning men at A, B, and C this year since we're all going. Maybe. So, Dr. Alicia, I want to ask you, okay, do you think that relationships serve a container between the two people for healing? Because Dr. Cheyenne did also mention that in that clip that your unhealed self is going to show up and their unhealed self is going to show up, and how both of you, two of you, manage that is going to determine the strength of your relationship. What are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree with that. You pick the perfect person to be with you in a relationship with you so that you can learn a certain lesson. You can't make the wrong choice. There is a lesson to be learned with any type of relationship that you in. If you think back on relationships that you've had in the past, and I'm sorry, I don't think because a relationship has ended, that doesn't mean it was a failure. You know, I mean, if we shouldn't look at ending a relationship as a failure. It's just ended. What's a failure is all the I guess we want to say low vibrational things make it more of a failure. But there's current relationships right now where there's all this low functioning happening and it's a complete failure, right? Even though they still together. So I think we need to get out of just because a relationship has ended, it's a failure. You've learned your lesson. Maybe you're supposed to be with this person so that you can grow and learn. And I think it's so great because what Dr. Bryant is saying, she's elevating the conversation. She's saying these high functioning individuals, they can regulate their emotions. They're interested in personal growth because not one time she said, listen, I'm not perfect and I'm okay with understanding other people's perfection. That's realistic because all of us have baggage that we bring into our relationship. You can't see it because mine is in the closet. I closed the door, but every once in a while, the closet door will open up and there'll be some of my baggage coming out. And then you look at it and you have a conversation about it and you learn more about each other in its totality. So I think there needs to be this self-awareness and self-insight into how people see you and how your partner sees you. Things like that I think is so important. I think also that I want to comment on this. We're using these words vibration, but I don't know if we understand. Like if we know, I know we understand because what Tiara was talking about was that she is interacting with these men. They're low vibrational and she's gone because she's not low vibration. If she was low vibration, she'd be trying to have a relationship with these men. She sees them for who she is and she politely says goodbye. That's smart, right? So the thing is that vibrations come through. I don't know if I want to get into the chakra systems, but there's different systems. If you think that a man is only supposed to be there for you to protect and provide, that is the lowest level of vibration that there is. That is the root chakra. It vibrates on a certain frequency. The root chakra, if you're only with a man because he can throw it down in the bedroom, then there you are. You're in the sacral chakra, and that's it. You're basing your relationship on that. If you're with a man, if you're with a man, only reason why you're with a man is because he is successful and you want to be a power couple. That's it. You base your relationship on being a power couple, then you're vibrating on that level. But at that level, those are the three lower chakras. You haven't even gotten into the heart chakra, which is the gateway. If we want to get into all of that, that's where the love comes in. But it depends on what you base your relationship on. And what Dr. Bryant is doing, sounds like to me, she's elevating this conversation to higher vibrations like love. And how you speak to each other is the throat chakra. And, connecting with somebody on a spiritual level, she is trying to bring relationships up. So really she's I think it's pretty brilliant to say functioning, because functioning can come across to the public. Remember, she has this knowledge, but she also needs to speak in a way where people can understand. And she did a great job as far as I'm concerned.
You know what, Dr. Alicia, my second and my fourth chakra is closed right now. It's under construction. I don't feel like being bothered with no foolishness. You know what the second chakra is? Sensuality. And the fourth chakra is the heart chakra. Yeah, right now I'm good. But I did want to say something about there was a comment from who was that? He said that Dr. Cheyenne was bitter. And I find it funny that men are mad at a woman holding them accountable for doing the right thing. And that just goes to show you that there are so many men out here operating low functioning because they're households and they're not taking care of their house. She's just saying, listen, if you are going to create a household, make sure that you're there because you are creating dysfunctional household. You're creating broken households. Y'all mad at her because she's telling y'all the truth? Be mad at God when he tells you, be mad at the Bible because the Bible's the truth, right? So if somebody tells you the truth, y'all gonna be mad? That is crazy. She's bitter because she's holding y'all accountable. Black men need to step up. I'm not gonna curse today, McFack.
I think that, what I find curious about Dr. Cheyenne's conversation is that she definitely spawn a bunch of emotional reactions, especially from the men, because I feel like men in general feel like they're being attacked anytime people are holding them accountable. But Constance, what I want to ask you is similar to what Dr. Alicia said. that every relationship that you're in gives you a big lesson. And I know you were married 150 years,
130
right?
years.
Okay, 150 years. What was the lesson that you felt like you garnered from that relationship, and how do you plan on learning from that in for the future?
Wow, there's so many lessons. I mean, if you're with somebody your whole life, like it's just a lot of learning. What I learned is number one, I wouldn't get married so young. But the other thing is like, just seeing how you can just add value to someone's life and then maybe making the choice to choose someone. And that's the reason why I just haven't found anyone interesting, is because for me, it's just, there has to be that connection, and there has to be a person that can just deal with me and the energy and who I am, and not be intimidated. But what I've of course, there's so many lessons. I can't think of just one lesson that I've learned out of that, because it's a lifetime, really. It's 30 years. It's a lifetime. But what I can say is that, I've grown, and I want the best for him. And my hope, is that he can love his children more than he does not like me, and just be a father. That's the only thing that I want for out of that situation, is just, be there for your kids. Just because I don't want to be with you don't mean that you ain't got kids.
Right. And I think that Dr. Cheyenne in her interview stressed the importance of being there for the children, because especially as an adult, or even if you're dating, you start to realize how maladjusted the maladaptive behaviors of adults, and you realize good parents are needed, because with good parenting, the result are good adults, hopefully. If you are just joining us, welcome to Fly Nubian Money. We are here Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to text the word Queens, that's Queens, to 87948 so you do not miss when we are on, honey. Please also hit the like and subscribe button and comment down below. Have you ever dated or been in a relationship with a low functioning person? Because women can be low functioning too. All right, as part of this conversation, I do want to focus on the woman a little bit, right? I want to play devil's advocate, because, the men always complain how we just be beating them up all the time, right? So, devil's advocate, are the women equally at fault for entertaining low functioning men? Constance, I'll start with you.
Sometimes people be sending they representative, and you just don't know. You think that you're dealing with one person, and then they turn out to be somebody totally different. So yeah, it's tough, because you didn't fell in love with somebody else, and then he shows himself, and you're like, wait a minute. By that time, you didn't fell in love, you're trauma bonded, you're soul tied and everything else. and so yeah, I think the responsibility lies on us waiting a little bit. One of the things that we don't do because of all the competition out there is just we don't wait. You know what's funny? I was talking to my girlfriend yesterday, and she was telling me about her friend who married somebody. He was in prison, but he's out of prison, but they haven't even met in person. They used to know each other back in college. And her husband said, and it was very crass, and I gotta preface this, but he said women are, he said women are so stupid that they will do certain things. It was some kind of nasty, just over the phone, just by a man just running game on him. Women are so game goofy right now, and men run game on these women, and he's like, I'm a married man. If I chose to have all these women, they wouldn't even care that I'm married. They're, very successful, highly successful women. They don't care. Women, we don't realize how much power we have. We have so much power, but we give our power away to these men, and we allow them to do everything. So we don't have any standards, and that's the problem. Is women, we really have the power to control how these men behave and how they walk, but we are so quick to allow them to do whatever, to give it up very quickly, that they go. If we don't do it, the next one will, because there are so many women out there who will. We got to take our power back.
I think so too, and I think we need to work on our self-esteem, okay, and set boundaries, and because women truly do set the tone, right? And I think that we hold a standard that men will comply to if collectively we would be on the same page. But unfortunately, collectively, we are not. Now, I
I
know
want to
we've
ask
dived.
that. Can I ask
Okay, go
something? Can
ahead.
I ask something to
Yeah.
that, Athena? I saw something just yesterday that said that men tend to be they tend to be like they have an abundant mindset where they think like, this is not the last woman that I'll meet. There's plenty of great women out here for me. While women have a scarcity mindset. When we meet a man, we say, I'm never going to meet a man this great
Wow.
ever again. So let me hold on to him and let him do whatever and stay and ride or die, just all the things that women do. And I think I was like, ooh, woo. I don't ever want to be in a place, even when sometimes I stopped talking to somebody, but it wasn't like a bad stop talking. Like Dr. Alicia said, like it was fine. Like it just didn't work. His schedule just didn't jive with mine, but we had the best time. It wasn't like a negative thing. So when it was over, like all of my friends were like, girl, but he was so good to you. Y'all just came back from a cruise. Y'all just did all this, and I was just like, but it's okay. I mean, he's not the only man that I'll meet. And they just could not understand it. And
I'm
I
so
think that's
glad that you said that.
yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Men have an abundance mindset and women have a scarcity mindset when it comes to relationships. And Terry said that's because of the myth of that there's a shortage of good black men.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
There's
Well,
always that like,
is that
what
a
is
myth?
it? What do they
I think
say?
it's a myth, and I do think that women can be they just feel very vulnerable and very lonely, and so they can just rationalize it away in their head. Also, I think a lot of women or a lot of people stay in unhealthy situations because sometimes they feel sorry for that person. Because think about it, a person who's I'm not going to use, I don't like to use like low value, high value. I personally don't enjoy using those words. I think
great one.
somebody who's not able to regulate their emotion come from a place of childhood abuse and neglect. That's where they come from. That's why it wasn't modeled to them. They never had a way to someone who sat down with them when they were younger to have them use their words when they're feeling big feelings and using their words. And I think like with therapy, tapping into some of that can help regulate emotions in the current day. So I think that that's really what's happening. I think that there's this childhood thing synced up with women who have abandonment issues. That's why they can't let go sometimes. And so it is this sort of back and forth dysfunction that happens in relationships. It's a pattern. All relationships have a pattern of how they deal with each other in a cycle. All relationships have cycles. And it's funny because as a therapist, I say, what's your cycle? What happens? Tell me what happens. And I'm like, this happens all the time. So let's come up with ways to break this cycle because it's not working for you anymore. And there are some things that you can do. There are things couples can do to break this cycle and function in a way that's way more healthy.
I agree, Dr.
Yeah.
Alicia. If you're just joining us, welcome to Fly Nubian Money. We are here Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And guess what? You can also listen to us on Spotify. So if you want to listen to us on the go, if you don't have time to fully watch the whole show, listen to us while you're at work, wherever. You can listen to us at Spotify as well. Now, I also want to talk about Nick Cannon because the infamous Nick Cannon, ooh, child, look at the family tree, honey. He has been doing, being fruitful and multiplying on earth, has he not?
Doing God's work. Doing God's work.
He's doing God's work. I know Mariah is my Aries queen, honey. I know she must be dying to even be associated with this harem. But anyway, 10,
It's true.
12 kids and counting. Okay, so Nick Cannon also had a conversation with Dr. Cheyenne. I guess Dr. Cheyenne trying to do the Lord's work too, get all the men to gather up all the men, honey. So we are going to take a look at that session that they had.
I'm comfortable with my abandonment.
Because you are in your dysfunctional norm that you become comfortable
But
with.
it's work. It's become a superpower.
But you've learned to survive. You're not thriving in that. There's not that's not thriving. You're surviving in that.
Okay.
And so anytime you are surviving and not thriving, there is no cape. There is no superpower. There's no superpower in a lack of mental health, and there's no superpower.
But it's worked for me. Like you said, I mean,
you know why it
you
worked
read
for you?
me well.
You know why it worked for you?
Why?
You know why it worked for you? I'm gonna go there, and it's probably gonna be okay.
Ooh, go ahead. This
and this is with all.
We got 2 minutes left in our first session.
With all due respect, seriously, to all the women that you've encountered, ladies, I'm saying this: the reason why it's worked for you is because you have chosen and to prey on low functioning women who don't have the emotional intelligence who will allow you to do that, Nick. And when I say allow, it's not a control thing. When I say allow, I'm not saying that she sits across you and says, "This is what you won't do. You're crossing a boundary."
Facts.
Nick.
I disagree.
Yes.
This is why I disagree. I mean, one, because
why you gonna make sure, but you gotta go in protection mode too.
But I'm saying because you could say from the all the high value women that I've ever
I didn't say high value.
Well, okay, I'm giving compliments, but I'm just saying
I'm like, wait a minute.
for the people.
No, they're not high value.
You know, of them being, because first of all,
low functioning woman will allow you to function low with them. Nick, you could not function that low.
So this is Nick, everyone's low functioning at some point in their life.
You cannot function low with a woman of my functioning, not because I'm superior, not because.
That's right.
Listen, I was seeing Nick getting very uncomfortable. Remember, he just said,
defensive.
"Now you're challenging me."
We witnessed him get triggered. She could not listen. When you're speaking and someone just cuts you off in the middle of the sentence, that means that person is triggered and they can't help it.
Right.
Yeah. So she was hitting on a sore spot. And I think that you got to realistically get into a relationship and know what it is. You know, again, what happens, of course, Nick Cannon's probably in a relationship with these women. They have something in common. And as soon as a difference emerges, he flees and he goes and finds someone else. That's when you have those serial short-term relationships because you're not realistic. And I'm sorry, a lot of that comes from not connecting with your feelings and your pain. It goes right back to emotional regulation. He does not want to grow. When you decide to get married, you have decided to grow in a way that you probably hadn't anticipated, because marriage is the level of commitment where you need to be accountable for another person. Your words and actions have to sync up, and when they don't, you can't just melt. You know, you have to be able to say, wow, yes, I'm now growing from this. But if you're not willing to grow, you're just going to continue to have all these little short relationships. And as soon as something tough happens, you're gone. And the thing is that what is this reminiscent of? Are you afraid of conflict? What was conflict shown to you when you were growing up? Was it a big catastrophe, or did you see people in your household have conflict and resolve it peacefully? Or did you see a whole lot of chaos and a lot of people just throwing you out and people leaving and clothes are thrown in the front yard? I don't know. I've heard lots of things. You'd be surprised all the things that I've heard of. But that's it. It is not having the issue of growing. And sometimes to be able to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. To some people who have issues with depression and mental health, it's a catastrophe because they think if I did something wrong, then that means I'm a bad person. And there's so many people that just can't deal with the fact that I'm a bad person, not my behavior. So when you talk to your children, you need to correct their behavior and you need to say to them, you are a great person. What you did was unacceptable. Say that to your children. Don't say, what the heck is wrong with you? Why would you make that mistake? Why would you do that? Separate the behavior from the actual person so you can give your children some self-esteem so they don't grow up like Nick Cannon with these various different chaotic relationships when they're an adult. I'm telling you. I'm sorry.
The fact that Ralph G said he takes care of all his kids, money does not mean that your kids are taken care of. They need presence. You need the yin and the yang. You need the feminine and the masculine energy in the household. Just because you financially support a child does not mean that you take care of them. And men need to get that out of their heads. Just because he go over there, he hit one of them I think he go lay up with them once a week or something. He got a schedule or something crazy like that. So you go lay up with him once a week. You are not in the household every day. You are not providing day-to-day fatherhood, daddy lessons to these children. And so that's a problem. But most of y'all, the people who are over here talking about at least he take care of them kids, probably aren't taking care of their kids anyway. So that's probably acceptable to them.
Let me tell you, no, As Nick Cannon, my question to him would be, would you want your daughter to have a baby and date somebody like you?
Hell
I
no.
guarantee
You know,
you,
they
and I have
push
posed this question to men. I have posed this question to men who have the mentality of Nick Cannon. And I say, okay, so if that's what you're modeling for your children, is this the lifestyle that you want your sons and your daughters, your actual children, to live? And 100% of the times, I can say that in my practice, not one person has ever said, oh yeah, I want the whole world to live like this. I want everybody to just be having kids as long as they can, back and forth. This the contradiction. I said, how do you resolve that contradiction in your head? You are doing to others what you don't even want to happen to your own child. And guess what? It will happen to them because you're demonstrating to them toxic, unhealthy behavior.
Listen,
But Dr. Alicia, okay, I understand that, but you know what? I think Nick Cannon is leading with who he is in terms of like coming into the situation saying, listen, I got 12 kids. I want some more. What's up? To certain women. And they're going, okay. Well, I mean, we can have another baby. You know, they're okay with it. They're okay. Even a woman thinking, what about my daughter? What about my son? I'm about to walk into a broken home type situation. He's not going to be able to give me everything I need, but hey, I'll have a Bentley, right? Or hey, I'll have my rent paid forever. It's like not wanting to even, it's like I couldn't see it for me, but I understand that a lot of women come to Hollywood in particular. And I'm not saying he's meeting all these women here, but I know women are looking for a bag, right? They're looking for someone that will take care of them while they're in pursuit of their careers. And then when they can't have a career, the modeling career or their influencer career isn't working like they thought it would, they attract these men, they sit them up, they go outside and they find someone that will take care of them, because being Nick Cannon's baby mama is better than just being me trying to figure a life out. You know what I mean? So
and they're miserable and lonely.
I got a question
what
though.
they really want, but
because this is
look at Young Miami. When Young Miami was talking about being a city girl or whatever that is, being a city girl, and brilliant question, right? And the guy, I don't know his name, Torre or whatever his name. I get them all mixed up. But he asked her, he said, would you like your own daughter to grow up to be a city girl? And she was like, absolutely not. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's exactly what is that? What is that? Like, how do you resolve that conflict? And the thing is that all of us have a healthy, Dr. Bryant said we all have a healthy part of ourselves. The healthy part of ourselves wants to overshadow the unhealthy part. And you have to, I don't know. I just know about cognitive behavior therapy and psychodynamic work. I know that you can minimize this unhealthy part of you. That's not even you. It's been placed in you. You have the power to heal. You have the power to be 100% healthy. It takes some work because it took a lot of work for people to get where they are, and all of our little baggage in our closet that we're opening up. Hopefully we can take out little pieces and examine it so that we can be better people and how we treat each other and how we feel about ourselves.
Speaking of baggage, right? We need to actually even talk about Marques Houston and what he has said about women and his choices. I think he's all up in the clique with Nick. Well, I don't think so. No. I think he actually married, but I think it's a different type of low function, right? I think because Nick, I think with his situation, he tried the whole marriage thing with Mariah, and I do think that this behavior is a result of, I don't know, some unresolved feelings out of that situation. Maybe he feels like, I tried marriage, it didn't work, then I'm gonna, spread my seed. So it's interesting as we gear up to take a look at Marques Houston, as he has married a 19-year-old woman. And we will actually...
She's 22 now.
Oh, 22? Okay, so 22. Oh, I remember 22. How it was.
She's 22 now. It's been a few years.
22. So we're going to take a look at what he has to say about his choice in doing so.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
I gotta ask, does it upset you that the internet seems to have a problem about the age that your wife was when you married her? Everyone's talking about it.
Absolutely not.
How come?
You gotta think about it. Everybody has their own opinion. Opinions are like noses. Everybody has one. I'm not a kind of person that don't really care what people think about me. So say what you want. I'm happily married and I love my wife. We have a beautiful daughter. And that's how we live it.
I mean, I always have to ask, like, people are saying your wife must have been like a little bit younger when you married her. I mean, can you set this record straight?
Yes, so she was 19 when we got married. She was 18 when we started dating. So, a lot of misconception out there about a lot of people try to like twist her age online and make it seem like she was born a year earlier. She wasn't. She's 22 going on 23. And, she keeps me young and fresh. What can I say? We have a love that people don't really understand. And I don't really care to explain it. That's what it is.
Okay, I love it. All right, and what do you have working on?
Listen, so Constance, I want to start with you. Does he have a point? He don't need to explain his relationship. He doesn't need to explain his life. She was legal when they met.
All of that. I mean, that's his business. I mean, but I look at men like at my age when I go out on dates, and if a man tells me that, I typically will date somebody, in their late 20s, early 30s, I look at them as there's a deficiency, because it seems to me that they want somebody that they can control, that they're not mature enough to handle somebody that's mature, that's their age. Like, what do you really have in common at my age, at 50 years old, with a 28-year-old? Like, you guys don't even listen to the same music. Y'all didn't grow up in the same generations. What do you have discussions about? So I just, at the end of the day, the young lady was legal. So it's his business. But I just think, what do you really have in common with a child?
Listen, Dr. Alicia, so Marques Houston, it wasn't in this video clip, but he did say women of a certain age, he's 41, have kids and have baggage, and that's why he dated someone younger than him, because he did not want that. Is he justified in his choice to do so, to avoid those things, or do you think he's actually avoiding some more emotional work as a therapist? What's your opinion?
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's his perspective. There's a give and take in dating somebody who's your age and then dating someone who's younger. There's pros and cons. And I have it's noisy. Hold on.
That sounds like Dr. Boyce.
Oh, it's very noisy. Everybody wants to. All right. So, so there's pros and cons. I actually, let me tell you, as a therapist, I want to say, is this power differential? Are these relationships exploitive or manipulative? And I actually looked it up. I said, let me look up age differences in relationships, and are these relationships genuine? And you know what the research is saying? By the way, there's a lot of articles written about this, so I was really surprised. So I spent this morning, a good size of this morning, looking into it. Believe it or not, there really is no difference in terms of satisfaction between age differences and the satisfaction of a relationship. And actually, age really is only just a number when it comes to, like, is it genuine and manipulative? What the data is saying is that there really is not much of a difference as you would think. Like, I'm thinking, okay, society, there's this power imbalances. We're using words like sugar daddy. We're saying cougars. We're using all of these words. But, coming from looking at the public perception and how terrible society looks down on age differences, the studies are actually showing that it's not manipulative, and that it really is genuine love, and the satisfaction levels are just as high, if not higher, than a relationship where there's not so much of an age difference. That's what the data is showing. But then I looked at divorce rates, because I'm like, there's got to be something there. And divorce rates are higher. The further apart the age range is, the more likely they are for that relationship not to, continue. So I don't know. I feel like, people, when we're using words like cougar, and we're using words like sugar daddy and trophy wife, even words like that, it kind of, it makes people feel ashamed to be in a relationship where there's a big age gap. And when I think of shame, I think, okay, they're going to hide these relationships. So they're going to feel like it's not genuine. When actually, when looking at the studies, there is actual genuine love. Yeah, age differences in the Bible. I did look that part up. And I don't know where it came from, but research from 100 years ago actually was referencing that a man should marry a woman that's half his age plus 7. That was the rule of thumb, by the way. I wrote it down. That's the rule of thumb as a guide for marriages. There's no data that's, there's no information that formula actually works, but apparently that's a formula that's used a lot in relationships. So if you're 20 years old and you're a man 50 years ago and you want to get married, you should marry someone who is 17, and then that's supposed to be 17 or older, and that's supposed to be the perfect person for you. But anyway, I think at the end of what I read this morning was just that we need to remove the stigma of these relationships and the power differential that actually, when we look at satisfaction and actual love between two people, that probably what Marques or this gentleman was saying was legitimate. There is true love there. Happiness is really there. But at the same time, we are seeing that they do have a higher divorce rate, but sometimes these are second marriages. So maybe sometimes that's it. It's a beautiful family and they look pretty happy.
They look so cute. They do look so cute. What I will say is this, right? I've been in an age gap dating situation, not full-blown relationship. And I will say that there was a lot of value in that dating situation. We definitely very much connected on like an intellectual level. I think that was probably the most intellectually compatible man I've ever dated. And obviously there was some form of attraction there, but I didn't feel like it was a relationship that could have sustained long term. And that's why I felt like it didn't work. Also, I would say from my experience, because most of the men that approach me are older, I feel like guys my age don't approach me for some reason. I will say what I've noticed about that is that they do want situations where they have more control because I am younger, but it becomes an issue because I'm not dumb. So it kind of, I challenge them in ways that they're not expecting when they meet me. So those relationships tend to not work out. But Tiara, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever been in an age gap relationship or dated someone significantly older, and how did you interpret that experience?
No. Well, I did have someone that was like trying to date me, and he was older for sure. And the whole idea of like, I mean, I just went 10 years older. And I felt like there was just little things. Like I was like 35 and he was like 47 and he needed naps. There were certain things that like you know what I mean? Like there was just things like we would go walking and then afterwards he'd be like, "Ooh, I'm tired." I'd be like, "This old ass man." Like I didn't, that's not what I wanted, right? Like that, I could see, I'm like, what happens when I turn 40 something and he's pushing 60? And I'm like really starting to feel that. I even think that with Marques Houston, like at some point, she's still going to be young and 40 and he's going to be an older man. And so I just wonder how that dynamic will play out for her. Like if she will still be attracted to him as he's getting older and they're 20 years apart. And so I did want to say that about that. And then really quickly, because I know we're going to bring somebody on, you know, it's so funny because I know at the end of the day, I've heard a man say, when I was talking to a friend about this topic, he said, you know, men just want women, you know, sometimes when you date women who are your age, you feel like, you know, you don't, like, a woman's not looking at you like, she's looking at you like a peer. And so, you know, sometimes when you date a younger woman, she's like, "Oh my God, you're so great." And I just love everything about what you're doing.
That's why men always date down anyway. That's why they be dating, you know, they go from you to the Section 8 chick because they have somebody that's like, "Oh my God."
They want to feel that way.
That's what mine did. He went from me to a Section 8.
Word of the
day. Made him feel real good about himself.
Okay.
Section 8 chick. Oh my God. So I was gonna ask you about how do you feel about these men who do date down, but I guess you explained it.
That's what they do. It makes them feel good about themselves. Strong, viral, whatever.
They have they're insecure men who feel like any man who says that is very insecure, and they feel like they have to rely on external validation for them to feel good. So men who feel good about themselves and they don't need that external, don't rely on external validation. They don't have to have that because they're already filled up, by the way.
Yes, honey. We want some well-secure men, and hopefully we will meet them at A, B, and C this year, honey. All right.
Y'all beautiful Black brothers, y'all kings, y'all got to come to A, B, and C. We will all be there.
Yes. So if you want to see the queens, honey, now's your chance. Now, I want to go to this comment by Preston Hester. Men and women are not peers. And we actually have a caller coming in to join us queens to give his opinion. So I want to hear his opinion on Preston Hester, since he's also a man's, honey. Does he agree? Men and women, are men and women not peers? Hi, caller. What's your name?
Hi, ladies. This is Big Mac. How y'all doing?
Oh, Big Mac in the flesh, baby. What's
Y'all doing a lot of talking bad on us men, so I want to come give our side.
Let me tell you something. We're glad that you were just saying a keyboard warrior out there.
Keyboard warrior come through. So, Big Mac, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Preston said men and women are not peers, right? And we just discussed the need or the desire for a woman to look up to you. Do you think that statement is accurate?
No, I don't. I think we are peers. I mean, we all have things that we bring to a relationship and to the raising of children, so far as our background, our morals, our religion, and so forth. So I believe, me personally, that, we are peers and we should function together. But at the same time, men have more expectations placed on them also. So we have to recognize that and be honest about that conversation. And just so far as just being considered women dating someone that I guess low value in a sense or whatever. But, women choose these men. So we got to have some accountability with the women choosing these men. And of course, men with money and means are always going to get low. Women at the bottom, women at the top, they're going to get all type of women because you all want the same man.
Oh, we all want to say, listen, fighting words.
That's fact.
That's
fact.
The issue is, Big Mac, we just want decent men. And so
right.
if
a man with morals.
Decent men with morals. And if the pool is very small, then it's going to be, the pickings are going to be slim. But I love what someone said about us having a scarcity mindset and men having an abundant mindset. What do you think about that? Is it because that there are more women than men? What are your thoughts on why we are picking the bottom of the barrel? Or are we just low functioning, trifling? Are we like bad boys? What do you think?
Well, I think all that goes into play. You like bad boys, of course, because you can easily go to a university or college and go find a man there easily. And those are men that have value, morals, and, wants to become something. So when they graduate and get these good jobs and so forth and so on, you women are not picking these guys. So when we get older and get set in our careers and established, we don't want the older women anymore because you set in your ways. You didn't choose us in the first place. So we go and date younger women that, seems, haven't been allowed to have a lot of baggage or have kids and so forth and so on. Not that the kids are baggage, but I'm just saying the logical thing to do is to look for those type of women. So we have to be logical in our choices and decisions, in which a lot of women are not logical in doing that, in my opinion.
So are men logical in their choices? No, are men logical in their choices? No.
I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself and the friends that in my circle. We are very logical and tactical. We don't go looking for any woman to have kids with or have kids outside of our home or have 4 or 5 kids that we can't take care of because we like to be involved with our kids. And, just like women do.
Are you single?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I have a question for you, Big Mac, since we have you on here. What are the characteristics of a high-functioning woman to you?
The characteristics of a high-functioning woman is someone that's nurturing, caring, of course, want to have kids, able to take care of themselves, because I don't look at things as, woman and man. I look at people as adults. So if you're an adult, you take care of yourself, you go to college, you go to school, you get a job, you pay your bills, and so forth and so on. Then you look for a man that could come in and compliment you, just like, men do. We look for women that could compliment us. Sometimes we don't look at the financial, we don't care about the financial, or we so-called date down, as you all call it. But that's not dating down. That's picking a woman that compliments you and could do the things that could help you. And therefore, if she helps you, she helps herself. So a woman that's understanding and not materialistic, because we all know women look for the materialistic type of ordeal, ideas in men. But it's a lot of things that come together. When you sick and laying in the bed or on your period or pregnant, we come in, and a man should take care of you in your time of need, in your time of sickness, and in health. So you have to be well-rounded. You just can't focus in on one thing. And I believe in choosing a woman that's well-rounded, because I'm a well-rounded man. I could be masculine. I could take care of kids. I could do everything. I could cook. I could clean. So, pick the right man.
Sure you're not single, Big Man? Because you sound like you're doing a little sales pitch right now for a dating profile a little bit. I don't know.
I've met you before, and we'd had a conversation before, and you were really awesome. But what you saying?
Wait. Was it A, B, and C, Charlotte?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my God! Oh yes, but then they didn't want me now. How they call me?
We shared the Uber together. Yeah,
wow.
but we'll talk about that later. Yes, definitely.
So, Dr. Alicia, did you have a question? Because I saw you looked like you had something.
Yeah, I agree with everything he's saying. I mean, that makes sense. And I just remembered another study I looked at that actually men who marry women who are much younger than them tend to live longer than if they marry a woman that's their same age.
Yeah, but they benefited from the youth, honey.
Yeah. But it still depends on if a man want kids or want to have kids or more kids, then he gets a younger woman. That's just logical stuff. Like I say, everything goes back to logic.
But Big Man, I thought you were single in Charlotte.
Something like that.
No, so like.
But
all right,
ninjas ain't shit news.
Okay, he was not moving. But anyway,
I'm not going to put my personal out there right now, but we can talk about that later.
You just been rolling around with that little Sharpie.
Come on, bring it.
I love it.
But you have. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, please.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying you just got to have realistic expectations and know what you want. And every time you all talk about men in certain situations, it always seems like to us men that you're talking about the bottom of the barrel men, and that's not the majority.
Y'all be doing that too. Y'all be
no, we don't.
Be on top of your mind and saying we always pick the same Pookie and Ray. You guys do the same thing.
I can say being here since I moved, been divorced and moved to the DC area, a lot of the men, they're quote unquote high value men. They all have these good government jobs, making all this great money, drive these beautiful cars and all that stuff. The problem is they like a lot of women. They're not low what do you call that?
You're not monogamous.
No,
low functioning.
Not low functioning.
Low vibration.
They're not low value men.
Low value.
Yeah.
Per se, but they just like a lot. So, and then sometimes I'll say to my married guys, I'll be like, "Hey, do you have any single friends? What I'm gonna do that? What I'm gonna let them have you for? I want you to myself. No, Negro, you marry. I'm not interested. Do you have anybody that is actually readily available?" So it's just like all of these men. Yeah, they got great. They're supposedly high value men, but they just like a whole lot of women.
Well, I mean, in some cases you're going to find that, but you got to go with the morals too. I mean, that's another big part of things. You got to find a man with morals. You got to find a man that could dedicate himself to you. But at the same time, that has to be reciprocated also. And a lot of women don't reciprocate it because men off the back, especially men with means and wealth, going to look at you in the beginning as, oh, she wants my money. She only talking to me because I'm well off and so forth and so on. So you ladies got to project that natural love and affection, just wanting to be with a person and vibe with a person, click with a person. and let that man know that, hey, I don't want you for your money. You seem like a great guy. And then, you build upon that. In my opinion, that's how I look at things.
All right. So final thoughts, Big Mac.
Yes, ma'am.
Remember who you are. When we were in A-B&C Charlotte, there was a little debacle with a young lady.
Uh-huh.
She got a little upset. She got a little perturbed with what you had to say. Okay.
I was surprised you remember that, but yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm a woman. I remember things. Okay. I remember things. Right.
Right.
So do you want to explain what was the error that she made in that situation to make you not want to proceed to talking to her again? And what can women learn from that?
Well, not to draw out the long story, but it just became that she got very emotional and we couldn't have that civil conversation that you guys were speaking in the beginning from the video. Controlling your emotions, even if you don't agree with something or perspective, you still could control your emotions and have a civil conversation. Let's talk about it. Let's have a debate about it. Or, point out your facts and I point out my facts and so forth and so on. So women like that, I don't have any time for, because that lets me know on a greater scale how they would be with other situations, or if they're pressed, if they're stressed out and so forth and so on. And I don't want to deal with women that can't handle a simple conversation or a disagreement. So.
Yeah, I think that's what we discussed in the Uber, actually.
Yes,
all right.
we did.
Thank you so much for joining us, Big Mac. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully we'll see you at A-B&C this year and we will connect again.
Yes, thank you. I try to make it. Thanks again, ladies. I appreciate you.
All right. Bye. All right, queens. It was a show today. I felt like we delivered a word. We gave a sermon. We did therapy. We did, flashback from A-B&C Charlotte, Uber rides, all today. But I want to close this conversation starting with you, Constance. Please share your final thoughts. Are we enabling these low-functioning men, and where can the good people find you?
Yes, because women have the power. We do. We definitely have the power to decide on who we lay with, who we share our space with, who we share our energy with, how quickly we give it up. Men only do what we allow them to do. And so we as women, we just got to take our power back. But we all got to be on code, women. We got to start protesting, protest the coochie. We got to stop giving it up so quick. That's what I say. So where can you find me? Everywhere on I Am Constance Carter.
Listen, where is Major Hype when his Poom Poom maintenance series? That's what we need to do. All right, Tiara, producer, boss lady, Miss Black Hollywood. What are the final thoughts for today?
Ooh, it's just I understand that it's difficult just in general for men to love women. Relationships are hard. And so I guess at the end of the day, whatever works for you, let it work for you. I'm not mad at Cam and Nick. Whatever issues that they're having is their issues. Like, I really, it really doesn't matter. I will never be part of that sister wives situation, or a situation like that. But I think what we can learn from people is just like to make sure that our house is in order, our emotional houses are in order, we are emotionally regulated, and just making sure that we are healthy human beings, right? And so I think that's all that we can really do. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood. You can find me at Miss Black Hollywood across all platforms. That's MSBLACK Hollywood. And yeah, I'll see you there.
Yes. And Dr. Alicia, our therapist extraordinaire, always providing a healing perspective for us all. What are your final thoughts on today, and where can the people find you?
Boy, this was fun today. I think I'm just going to piggyback and add to what the two ladies have said already. The phrase for today is not low value, not high functioning, not low functioning. The key phrase is emotional regulation. I think we as the public can understand that term. I think if I leave you with something, practice meditation. Practice every day. Practice meditating. I guarantee you most of us can't do it for more than 5 minutes, to just not think of anything. But the more you do that, the more you'll be able to incorporate this when you start to feel yourself getting triggered. It's a 0 to 10. If you can stop yourself at a 2, practice stopping yourself like at a 2, because once you're at an 8, it's too far gone. You're going to be going off and yelling and throwing things and saying all sorts of weird stuff and all of that, right? But if you can stop yourself at a 2, sit with that a little bit. Try to understand yourself. Where is this coming from? What's coming up for me? If you could just practice those things, then you could be, as what Dr. Bryant talked about, a high value or high functioning person. Those are the words she's using. I think a very well-regulated person who's into Zen, mindfulness. Mindfulness practice helps to regulate your emotions so that you can show up in your relationships as a healthy person. So that's what I'll leave everyone today. Oh, if you want to reach out to me, get into this mindful state, you can find me at Coaching with Dr. Alicia, and I'm on Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia.
Yes, the word of the day is emotional regulation. Now, I know the topic of today was, are we enabling low functioning men? And in my opinion, we are. Just like Constance said, we hold the power, ladies. Okay, if we set a high standard for ourselves, the men would have no way to go except to rise to meet them. Where else they gonna go? Well, there's a few places they could go, down low and stuff. But, other than that, where else could they go? My name is Athena Gardner. I'm a CPA and a women's wealth coach, and I'm the founder of We Wealth Women. If, as a woman, you want to be high functioning, okay, if you want to be in your goddess energy, you want to get what you desire, focus on increasing your wealth, wisdom, and womanhood, you can find me at wewealthwomen.com, at We Wealth Women on all socials, and listen to my podcast, the We Wealth Women podcast. But all right, that is it for our show today, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to subscribe and like and follow us at Fly Nubian Money. We are here Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And be sure to text the word Queens, that's Queens, to 87948. Don't have time to watch us? You can listen to us on the go on Spotify as well. It's been lovely doing the show today, and we'll see you in the next one.